Okay, the last example for us to do here in 9.2, and I told you guys they're getting progressively harder, so there's something new going on in this problem. Part C, 3a squared minus 4a minus 4 equals 0. Let's solve by completing the square. All right, so you probably have caught on when you've got everything on one side equal to 0 to complete the square. We want to begin by adding that number to the other side. We want to isolate the a squared and the a term. So we're going to start off by adding the 4. And we like that right there. Okay, here's what's different about this problem. In the other examples, we always had simply x squared or a squared. We did not have a number in front, like the 3. If you have a number in front like this, then we're not yet ready to complete the square. We need to get rid of that 3 in order for this process to work. We cannot have a coefficient in front of your a squared or your x squared or whatever you have. It has to simply be the variable squared only. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to divide each part by 3. And so that's going to keep the equation, it's all going to be equivalent, but now we won't have that 3. So divide all the terms by 3, we must have a squared only. So if we divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, it's going to give us this. The 3 will cancel out there to get us what we want. And then I'm going to write these in maybe a way you didn't expect. I'm just going to say negative 4 over 3 and the a on the side. And then this one, of course, is 4 over 3. Okay, I like it in that style. Now we are ready. With these couple of steps, these key steps at the beginning, now we can complete the square here on the left. So the next thing we would write, we'll copy all this stuff and we'll think, what should we add to make that a perfect square trinomial? And now this one, you know, people, they're getting more difficult, right? Not only do we have like an odd number or something, we have a fraction here in the middle, but it's still the same pattern. So let's kind of do this below to think, what are we going to fill in right here? Okay, so I know I always take that middle number. I can ignore the fact that it's being subtracted. I just take the number and I divide it in 2. And then I square it, whatever that is. You could do this in a calculator, so long as you put the fraction value there. But if you wanted to do it by hand, here's what you would do. You would say, okay, I'm going to think of this like it's 4 over 3 and the 2 as 2 over 1. Then, maybe you know, when I'm dividing by a fraction, I can flip it. And it becomes multiplying. So 4 over 3 times, flip that, 1 over 2. Then these reduce very nicely. And we end up with 2 over 3 squared, which is 4 over 9. And that's what I'm going to put in right here, 4 over 9. I divide it in half, which means I multiply it by 1/2. It becomes 2 over 3. I square it. There you go. Now that's quite a bit of work with fractions just to fill in this blank. But, you know, that's the nature of the problem. That's what makes these completing the square problems so difficult, a big part of it is just knowing what goes in that blank. Sometimes it's real easy. You know, those first examples we did, maybe you knew them right away, or it made sense right away when it was explained. You know, but when you get to these more difficult variety, fractions and fractions of the thing, okay. So, you know, if you're struggling with your fraction skills, hey, grab a calculator, right? I mean, that's why we have them. You don't have to do this by hand. Let me take a look at that. You know, if I did 4 over 3 over 2 squared, 4 over 9, boom. Right? Okay, then there's the second blank. Well, if I up and add 4 over 9 to the left, then I have to do the same thing on the right. I just copy that number, whatever it is, to balance the equations, we say. Okay, the hardest step of the problem right there. What comes next? Same progression. We're got to rewrite this in its squared form, if you will. So we know it will start with parentheses a. I see that's a minus, so I know it's going to be a minus. It's going to be something squared. What goes right there? Just remember the pattern. It's always the number before you squared. Well, the very last step, so one back, it's the 2 over 3. What was the number just before we squared it? Okay, so there you go. Let me erase this now. A minus 2/3 squared. And if you add these together over here on the right, 4/3 plus 4/9. Again, you know, just grab a calculator for that, right? 4/3 plus 4/9. And if it gives you a decimal, convert that to a fraction. In my calculator, I use this little double arrow button. 16 over 9. And a lot of, again, really technical process. Lots of chances to forget a step, or to, even if you don't forget, just to execute it correctly. And here, these are as difficult as they get. There's nothing more difficult than this example. So if this example makes sense to you, then you got it. If it doesn't, well, you know, watch this video again, do some of these on your own, bring questions on Monday night. We can do more of these, no problem. That's why we have the live meetings. We can go over this example again, do other. All right, anyway, let's continue. What do we do from here? Well, now I've got something squared equals this, so let's take the square root of both sides. Okay, don't forget your plus or minus. That'll cancel here on the left. This works out very nicely, 4 over 3. And here we see, oh, I've got that plus minus, but I'm not done. So let's rewrite it like this. A minus 2/3 equals positive 4/3, and A minus 2/3 equals negative 4/3. And at this point, we are almost done. We need to add 2/3 to both sides in both equations. And here's our answers. Adding 2/3 there would give us 6 over 3. Well, 6 over 3 is 2. Adding 2/3 here, negative 4 plus 2 gives us negative 2 over 3 as the second answer. There they are. We made it through that problem. Only took us 10 minutes. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to try one. I would have put this problem up on the screen. So, maybe pause here, take a look at this one, a squared minus 4a plus 5 equals 0. You notice it does not have the number in front of the a squared, so it's not as difficult as that last example. Try it out, see what you get. We'll do it in the next video together.